Ruby fans, and welcome to the Boopcast episode 6. I remember the episode number this week. We are your hosts, SheNoob and
Cory.
And we're here to talk about Ruby Volume 4, Chapter 6. What was it called?
Tipping Point.
Tipping Point, thank you. I was going to be like family, but I was... No, that was... Anyway.
That was episode 4.
Chapter 4, yeah. Because this episode was the winter finale, we decided to opt out of having a guest this week, because I think we're going to have plenty enough to talk about on our own. Now, for those of you who may have not watched Ruby as it's released last year, let me explain how this is going to work. Chapter 6 is the winter finale episode of Ruby Volume 4, which means that Ruby now is going to go on a break of a few weeks, probably 3 weeks, over the Christmas holiday, so that, you know, Rooster Teeth employees have to go home to their families and eat turkey and shit. And it will be returning next year, we reckon, on January 7th. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I think January 7th is probably when Chapter 7 is going to air. So, just so you all know, so there's no confusion, this will be the last episode of the Boopcast for the year. That's scary.
Yeah.
The year's almost over, Cory.
I know, it doesn't feel like
Christmas. So, before we get into the episode, questions. We have, @YokeDog on Twitter asks, how do you see the Weiss/Ironwood dynamic evolving moving forward? Will they be able to wake Atlas to the realities of the world?
I mean, I've always thought that Ironwood was Weiss's way out of her family. Like,
I agree.
He was going to be the one who will take her back into the real world.
Yes.
But I don't know if they'll be able to necessarily awaken Atlas to, you know, the struggles of the real world, because it will take an event like the destruction of, Atlas needs to be attacked for these people to realize what danger they're in.
Yeah.
And because these people are they're too in their own.
They so are. Atlas is a society made up of the wealthy and the powerful and the whatever. I think that Atlas lives in their own little bubble, and it's going to take a lot for them to even comprehend the rest of the world, I think. So as for waking Atlas to the realities of the world, I don't think that's possible at this stage. The Weiss-Ironwood dynamic is pleasing me at the moment. I think there's a lot of possibilities going forward with that relationship that seems to be forming there. Yeah, Ironwood is definitely going to be Weiss's ticket out of her current situation. Yes, I agree with Cory. So, at AEEC Team on Twitter asks, my question for the Boopcast is, do you think that Blake will leave her home in order to avoid the White Fang, or will she bring her family with her?
She's not bringing her family.
I don't think so. It's an interesting idea, but I don't think so.
Yeah, because, you know, she doesn't even want Sun there.
Yeah.
You know, like we speculated in an earlier episode, we both think that she's on a suicide run. She's going on a suicide run, and why would she bring her family on that?
Exactly, yeah. I also just don't know if her parents would leave Menagerie. Yeah, she definitely wouldn't want them tagging along. And yes, she is going to have to leave Menagerie at some point to protect them. I don't know how long she's going to stay in Menagerie, but it's not going to be long. Yeah. And Lauren Gibbs on Facebook asks, oh, wait, where's the question? There it is. What should be the ship name for Jean and Tyrian? That's not a thing, is it?
No. That's one thing I have in my notes, is about why is he fascinated, why is he so interested in Jean?
Yeah.
But
we'll get to that. But
yeah.
No. That's my answer to that question. No. That's just no. Okay. Moving on. So
I didn't want to think about it.
No. Oh my god. This episode. We got a lot of Ranger in this episode, which wasn't something I was necessarily expecting. I was expecting to see them, because obviously Tyrian was in the thumbnail, but not quite as much as we did. I would have liked more Weiss, personally. There wasn't enough Weiss. The episode started with Team Ranger coming upon the town, the never established town of Oniyuri, which Ren explains a little bit about that, and his own personal history with it, in that his parents were two of the founders of Oniyuri and were killed when it was overrun by Grimm. Or, I'm a little confused actually about what he explains to do with that, because he says not just any one.
Yeah,
like
I have that in my
Grimm?
notes too.
Like,
yeah,
is he
I know.
saying
Like,
that it was one Grimm that wiped out the little settlement there? Like, I'm confused.
Or is he saying not just anyone, as in anyone a person? Like, is he, like, that's the thing that makes me confused, is, like, was it a similar situation to Shion, or was it literally just Grimm killed everybody?
Yeah.
And, like, why wouldn't he, I feel like, why did he stop there? Like, and they just let him stop there. And it was like, you guys could get attacked by whatever this one is, like, why not give the information?
The gorilla? I don't know. Yeah. So, we learned who Ren's parents were and what happened to them, and where Ren originated from. So we know now that he is originally from Anima, the continent in which the kingdom of Mistral is located. So we know where he's from, and we know a little bit about his past now. So we know more about him than we know about Nora at this stage. I'm still curious about his reaction to the print in the ground from a few episodes ago. I don't even remember what episode that was. Was that 2?
It was 2.
Yeah, chapter 2. Yeah, so kind of interesting. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention in that scene was the animation when Ruby lifts that sort of plank up. Just the animation on her model in general when she did that was really good. I was like, ooh, that looks so nice. It's so cool. I like. Also, they threw that damn map on the ground again. That poor map.
I know.
They just keep tossing that map away and losing the map. Oh my gosh. I don't think anything else particularly noteworthy happened in this scene, did it? Oh, except that Ruby honestly thought that walking from Vale to Mistral was going to take 2 weeks. And they've been walking for how long now? Like 3 months and still have not gotten there.
Yeah, we're getting closer.
Ruby. Yeah. So, and then we got a nice little musical number from Weiss at her concert. Called it, by the way, that the concert would happen in this episode. I was right. And I was also right about something going wrong at the concert, so just saying. Brag about it. This song, I cannot get it out of my head! It's so catchy! It's catchy in a weird way, though, because the melody's really different. And it's, like, interesting, and it's one of those melodies that you can't really tell where it's going next. And I love that in music. And, of course, Casey's voice is just incredible, as usual. I liked that it was the same stage from the White trailer. The whole sort of thing of her singing on stage was such a huge throwback to the White trailer. I was getting all nostalgic about it. I was like, I love Weiss. Weiss is my favourite, and I was so happy to see Weiss again, finally. And we didn't get nearly enough Weiss. I did also like the audience, that all of the people were different in the audience, and there seemed to be a lot of detail that went into the models. Just in general, background people, like in the Menagerie episode, there was so many background faunas, and not one of them was the same. And, like, I look at shots like that, I'm like, the work. I just see all the work that goes into it, and I'm like, I appreciate those shots. So, people that work on those shots, just know, I appreciate you. And I do notice those things. Yeah. I felt the only thing that was really awkward about this scene was that, for some reason, it felt to me like Weiss wasn't actually singing. I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to hearing Casey's voice that it doesn't translate to Weiss for me very well, because it's just like, I know that it's Casey straight away, and like in the white trailer we'd only heard Casey sing a little bit from the red trailer, and so it was easier to associate that voice being the characters, and also Weiss didn't have a voice actress yet. So yeah, it just felt a little bit disconnected. Also, some of the animation on her singing was a little bit weird. Like, the shot above her when she looks up, her mouth is not moving to the words. And it bothers the crap out of me. I was like, oh, that's not a good shot. But the rest of it was good. The rest of it was fine. Let's talk about the song. So, it doesn't have a name yet, or any official lyrics. Jeff Williams is keeping quiet, for now. And we only got a very short 50-second snippet of what it might eventually be. So, shall we run through the lyrics and give our interpretation of the lines? So, the first line is... I'm not your pet, not another thing you own. Obviously, this entire thing is directed at Papa Schnee, as have like been most of her numbers of late. Like Mirror Mirror Part 2, directed at him. It's My Turn, directed at him. Yeah, so I'm not your pet, not another thing you own. I was not born guilty of your crimes. Yeah, so... Yeah. There's a lot of negative association with the Schnee family and the war for faunus rights, because the Schnee Dust Company uses faunus labour, to hear Blake tell it. But according to Papa Schnee in the following scene, they get paid the same amount as the other workers, which I don't think
I have my own... I think that he probably does, for like, he probably does pay them exactly the same as everybody else, but he forces them to work in awful conditions and longer hours and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so he is technically paying them the same, but he's putting them through much more
I
peril
don't think
and work
the pay
and everything.
is the main point of the issue at all. I think he's missing the point entirely, or he just doesn't care. Your riches and your influence can't hold me anymore. Kind of self-explanatory. I won't be possessed, burdened by your royal test. I love this line because it's a throwback to Red Like Roses. White is cold and always yearning, burdened by your royal test. And we haven't heard it ever since then. And I got so nostalgic when I heard that line. I was like, royal test! Yeah, it was a nice little throwback to Red Like Roses, because the whole scene was screaming white trailer, and I think they sort of realised that, and kind of wanted to throw back to the trailers a little bit in that. It's really one of those coming full circle kind of things. Like, last time Weiss sung on that stage, as far as we're aware, she was a different person to the person that she is now. And, like, it was... Last time she sung on that stage, it was before she went away to Beacon. She was a teenager. She was really fresh. She was facing a lot of tests in her life. She was totally under her father's control. If you listen to the lyrics of It's My Turn, it really explains how Weiss feels about the way her father treated her basically all her life. And he's not a nice dude. He was really put her down a lot, told her that she couldn't do the things that she wanted to do, that like she would never amount to anything, blah blah blah, you know. And when she sang in the White Trailer, she was singing Mirror Mirror, and Mirror Mirror is really a song about looking at your reflection in the mirror and wondering who you really are, and having a disconnectedness from yourself and not knowing who you are truly, and looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself, basically. And also it talks about loneliness, and Weiss touches on loneliness a couple of times in Volume 1 and 2. She was a lonely child growing up. She seemed to be a bit estranged from her brother. Her older sister went off to the military, so she probably didn't have a super close relationship with her sister after that. Before that, though, I mean, they seem pretty fine now, so... But, like, Winter's approach is really tough love towards Weiss as well. She gets no love from her father. Her mother, we don't even know that much about her, except that she likes to drink in the middle of the day, which doesn't really bode well. Who can blame her, though? I mean, having Jacques Schnee as her husband must be, you know. But, yeah, Weiss grew up a lonely girl, and she didn't know what it was like to be surrounded by people that truly cared for her, I guess. And that's what Mirror Mirror was all about. And that was what she sang the last time she was on that stage. And now the next time she appears on this stage, she's a completely different person. She's been to Beacon, she's forged these friendships with people, she's gone on this incredible journey, she's learned a lot about herself, she's learned a lot about being a huntress, she's you know, gone through different stages and relationships with the people around her, and then it was all ripped out of her hands, and she even lost friends of hers died, like, and she's been separated from absolutely everybody that she's known for the last year of her life, and everybody that has probably only been the only people who have ever truly cared about her, or from her perspective at least. And she's frustrated, and I understand her frustration completely. We can totally level with that, because and now she's thrown back into this situation. She's once again under her father's roof and under his rule, and she can't do anything to go out there and help her friends. She knows that they're all out probably fighting their own fights now. She's frustrated because she can't do anything about what happened. She's probably mourning a bit over the losses of Penny and Pyrrha and others that she may have known at the school. Everything that she's known for the last year of her life has been ripped out of her hands, and she's been thrown straight back into this world that she went to Beacon to escape. And now she's like, I'm not standing for this shit anymore. Like, you cannot treat me like the little girl I was when I left this house, because now I am a woman. I'm 18, for God's sake. I'm a warrior, and you're not gonna shit on my parade. Puffer Schnee. That's basically, like, I love the parallel there between the first time she's on this stage and the next time she's on the stage. Weiss has transformed as a character since the White Trailer and since Volume 1. Completely transformed. And I'm loving where her character is at right now. And I love seeing her stick up for herself. And then the last line, I will not surrender, this life is mine. And I was like, yes, Weiss! You tell that son of a bitch! Of course, he has no idea that all of this is directed at him. He's totally oblivious. Yeah, so that whole scene, I gushed a little bit, because, like, I love when shows do this symbolic shit that throws back to, like, old nostalgic stuff like the White Trailer. emotionally is such a come full circle sort of thing as well. The White trailer was the second thing all of us ever saw of Ruby. It was the first time we saw Weiss. And for a lot of us, that was, like, I fell in love with Weiss after seeing the White trailer, and so did you. And, for me, it's my favourite trailer. And also, Monty made that trailer. So for a lot of reasons, it's emotionally a huge come full circle thing to see Weiss back on this stage singing, but with a totally different outlook. Yeah, I wish Monty could have seen it. Yeah, I think he'd be really happy with how his work is being carried on in his absence. Just to put that out there. But, yeah, so I'm going to stop gushing about that now. And I'm going to let you talk as well. Once I get going, you can't shut me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next bit then was the bit after the performance. Whitley had this weird smile on his face every time we saw him in these scenes as well, which was kind of creepy.
He still creeps me out.
Yeah,
like
I'm getting the creepy vibe that you are getting now. I really am.
Yeah, it's just he's such a weird child, and that one person who asked the question on Facebook, their first thing was asking us, did we notice Whitley smiling while
while Weiss was throwing her tantrum. Yeah. And
I rewatched that scene, and I mean, I was kind of, you know, he was smiling, but it was just like a continuation of his smile from the rest of the thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was a deliberate thing. Like, I think it's just how they had his face set for the scenes. I don't think it was meant to be anything necessarily.
Plus, they only showed us Whitley at the very start of her tantrum.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, it wasn't a thing where it was like, while Papa Schnee was all angry, he was like,
maybe
like, you know, it wasn't anything like that.
More, when we see Weiss again, maybe Whitley will be further involved. I'm hoping Weiss will be back in chapter 7. If she's not, I'm going to be annoyed. Like, really annoyed.
She needs to be a bigger part of the second half of the season, because she's been in 2 episodes.
She's seriously lacking in screen time for being probably one of the most, well, she's one of the 4 main characters. She's a huge part of the show, and she's seriously lacking in story development right now. I'm really annoyed too, because she's my favorite, and while everything that's going on is wonderful, and I will appreciate any Ruby that I get, I need more Weiss. Like, it's not enough. She's really underappreciated in the volume right now. I just hope she comes back for chapter 7, because having chapters 3 through 5 with no Weiss is unacceptable. Like, I need more Weiss. Yeah, so in this bit, there's a bunch of rich people drinking and eating and talking about nothing. Kind of reminded me of Seinfeld for some reason. It's a show about nothing. I liked the background chatter in this scene. There was a lot of actual conversations happening in the background, which was cool. And they were quiet, but you can hear them if you listen.
If you listen, like, even when in the next part where Jacques grabs Weiss and stuff, like, the conversation they were having still continues for a while, and you can listen to it.
You can actually hear them. They're having a conversation that makes sense in the back. It's not just like blah 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 blah, to quote Professor Port. Yeah, I don't know. It's a nice touch when they do stuff like that. It really helps the immersion. Because there's nothing worse than, like, doing something like where characters are having conversation, it cuts to other characters who are having conversation, and it's just babble in the background. That kills immersion for me. I'm like, gah. Can they not put, like, 2 conversations over each other? But they did, and it was much better. Much better. What was interesting was after Weiss's performance on the stage, here when she has this interaction with Jacques, when he grabs her and he's like, "Where are you going?" She is again very submissive. She's like, "I'm just thirsty, like, I'm just gonna go get a drink. Is that okay with you?" And he calls her sweetheart here. And I was like, why are you calling her sweetheart? Like, every indication so far has been from Jacques to Weiss. He hasn't been fatherly at all, or in any way affectionate towards his daughter since we've met him. So to call her sweetheart is really weird. It rubbed me up the wrong way.
Well, like, it sounded very aggressive when he said sweetheart, too.
Sweetheart.
Like, it was a thing where he was like, yeah. Yeah, it's just, like, you know, once again, I think he was calling her sweetheart as, like, we're in Publix, I'm being nice to you, and I can't call you, hey, bitch, where you going?
Yeah. Oi, bitch, where you off to? Yeah, no, he can't do that in public. Probably he's just saying it because there are people around listening. Keeping up their public appearances. I did like, though, that he's like, "Oh, we have people come and get you a drink," and she's like, "I can get it myself. Like, I have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a brain. Like, I can figure it out." I like that she wants to do things for herself, because when we met her in Volume 1, she was quite obviously a girl who had come from a very privileged background and wasn't interested in doing much for herself. Except for when it came to fighting. You know, she had those 2 attendants, like, wheel her bags in. And it's like, snobby rich girl doesn't even want to carry her own stuff. Like, but here, she's like, "No, I'm capable. Like, I'll go get my own fucking drink. Like, I'm not going to ask those people to do it. Like, they've got other shit to do. I'll do it." And, yeah, that was nice to see that she, like, it's little things like that that make me go, yeah, she's come a long way since we've met her. So she nicks off to go stare at the painting of Beacon that the Schnee family had commissioned, which is a very nice painting, as Henry Marigold puts it, who I do not like at all. Even though he looks very suave in his suit, which makes
I love his design.
A little bit like a, I don't know, My Chemical Romance Die Hard fan. I don't know. Yeah, I liked his outfit and his hair. Don't like his personality.
Yeah.
Of course, she was quite cold towards him. And, you know, he had no idea that the whole event was raising money for the fall of Beacon. He was completely ignorant of that fact. He's like, "Oh, is it another fundraiser for blah, blah, blah?" And she's like, "Get out."
Yeah.
Leave, bitch.
Yeah, I think that interaction showed a lot of, like, just the interaction of Atlas and the Atlas High Society, where they're just almost like, oh, we're gonna do stuff for them? Like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so,
they live in their own little bubble. And he was like, "Oh, I just come here for the food. Like, and to talk to pretty girls." And pretty rich girls, no less. And she's just like, "Fuck off, mate." I'm so not interested. I do not have the time for you. And then the snobby blonde bitch was gabbing way too loudly about Vale.
Her name in the credits was Trophy Wife.
Yeah, Trophy Wife, and there was Angry Businessman as well, who's the guy that was shouting about his drink in the background. And it was such like a, you know, picture of privileged society. That's much how I imagine Hollywood to look. Yeah. You know, like when you get a room full of really successful, like privileged celebrities, that's how I imagine it looks.
Well, I mean, that's a good segue back to something that after Jacques was done talking to Weiss, you know, he turns back to the conversation and goes, "Sorry, I tuned out for a second, but it sounds like I'm the good guy again." Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's just like, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that is, he's putting on a show for the public, but behind closed doors, he's really quite the asshole. It's just so arrogant of him to say that. But again, these people are living in a bubble. And he's just annoyed because he's losing all this money because of the dust embargo. That's all. So he's like, well, I'm going to throw a concert because I want to make it look like I actually give a shit about these people. When actually I don't, and I just want my money back.
Yeah.
I hate him so much. Whereas Weiss does actually give a shit because she was there and she lived it, and fucking people that she knew are dead because of it. And, that's probably the reason she gets so angry at Henry when he's like, oh, I don't know what this thing is about. And she's like, in her head she's probably thinking, I had friends who died there, bitch. And you, have no idea that any of this even happened. And it's like, fuck off. Take a hike. So yeah, the snobby blonde trophy wife starts, running her mouth about Vale. She's obviously had one too many martinis or whatever they drink in this society. And Weiss loses her shit. I knew this was coming. In my reaction, I was like, she's totally gonna snap any second.
Yeah.
And she did snap, and who can blame her? And she basically, in her outburst, unleashes everything that she's feeling frustrated about. You're all just talking about stupid shit that doesn't matter. You're all having these insignificant little conversations and totally ignoring what the entire point of the event is. And that's, the fact that this horrible thing happened to the kingdom that she just spent 12 months in, and the people that she just spent all that time with that are gone now. And I liked here that she stood up to her father when he grabbed her, and he was like, you're embarrassing the family. And she's like, bitch, I said let go of me. And then she summons the Borbatusk. Interesting thing for her to summon, because it was after the Nevermore and the Deathstalker. It was the first Grim that she fought as part of her Huntress training in the classroom. So yeah, kind of a significant Grim for her story, the Borbatusk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was significant just in that was when she finally, it was the thing closest to when she finally gave up on being the best team leader and best, and this was the turning point of, I'm going to be the best teammate, I'm going to be the best huntress I can be, I'm going to do this instead of this.
I think, though, too, the Borbatusk fight is negatively associated in her mind emotionally, because at that point, this stupid little incapable girl who was 2 years younger than her, obviously had no experience, had just been appointed the leader of her team, and she was pissed off about it. And, the whole time Ruby's, distracting her during the fight. She's like, stop telling me what to do! And, she was obviously in a very, bad emotional state during that fight. So I think that's why probably that's one of the Grim that she's summoned now. I don't know if they're deliberately drawing that sort of parallel, but I can see it there. And then James Ironwood comes to the rescue. In more ways than one. I love Ironwood for what he did here. I've always been kind of on the fence about Ironwood, but now I'm like, I like you. You're good.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel, because I did not trust him at all in Volume 2 or 3. I was like, this guy has ulterior motives, he's trying to take over Vale, something's going on. But now, after we got a clearer picture of what was happening, it's like, oh no, he's just desperately trying to keep people alive.
Yeah. Towards the end of Volume 3, once we realized that he truly had no idea any of this was going to happen, we sort of went, okay, you are a good guy, but I'm still keeping my eye on you. And then his appearance in the second chapter was again a little odd. But here I was finally like, okay, you're a good guy. I like you. Because he sticks up for Weiss. He's like, she's the only one who's making any sense. And then he's like, bye bitches. Yeah. No, this was the point that I decided I do like Ironwood. Miles and Kerry did actually say, I don't know if it was during volume 3, yeah, probably, that the way that they've portrayed Ironwood, we were supposed to not be sure if we could trust him or not. Like, that was what they wanted out of the character. They wanted us to think that maybe he was a bad guy when really he's a good guy. Yeah, so... Yeah, I also found it difficult to trust him for a long time there. For like 2 volumes. I was like, I really don't know how I feel about you. Yeah. I forget what was... the next bit was... The next bit... After this scene. I want to talk about the look that Jacques gave Weiss at the end of this scene. Yeah, so Weiss kind of looks up at her dad like she knows that she is in the shit after that. And he just looks at her like she's just told
Tonight
him,
you die.
Told him that she's like killed his puppies or something. Yeah, so Weiss is gonna be in big trouble the next time we see her. I really just hope that she does continue to stick up for herself. I hope that she doesn't shut down now once Papa Schneez just, like, kind of goes mental at her. I want her to continue to stick up for herself.
Yeah. I was still disappointed that he even stepped in. I mean, I know why he did. I know why he stepped in to stop her, but I wish he hadn't, because she could have, you know, said something meaningful about, like, you know, he stepped in just before she would have gotten to, like, the real meaningful parts of, like, people died there, and you say they deserved it, and all these things, and, you know, like, I wish that she had had more time to actually say how she was feeling, as opposed to, you know, Papa Schneed being like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he stepped in pretty soon because he didn't want her to embarrass him further. Also, I feel like it would be kind of like a beating the dead horse situation. Like, Ruby and Yang and Blake have all sentimented now about Beacon. Oh, not Yang, actually. I don't think she has. Oh, she kind of did when she was talking to Port and Oobleck. Yeah, like, even Blake in Chapter 5, when she was talking to the Fox twins, she was like, people are dead. And, you know, I feel like it would be beating the dead horse a bit. Oh, pardon the pun, beating the dead horse. Yeah, like, we all know what happened at this point. You know, like, we don't need the characters to continue to reiterate that people have died. Yes, we know people have died. It's horrible, yes, but we know. Can you, like... Yeah, so... Moving on to the final scene of the episode. This episode was way too fucking short.
I know.
For a winter finale, it was so short. It was only 15 minutes. I was hoping for at least, like, 17. That would have been nice, but I don't know what difference 2 more minutes could have made. 2 more minutes of Weiss, maybe, but... 2 more minutes of Weiss singing! So... Tyrian finally caught up with Team Ranger.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Lots to talk about here.
Well, my question is Ren, obviously he stops them. And then, you know, he's like, I'm kind of confused about what exactly was happening there. And I'm like, was Ren just listening? I could hear him?
I think
or
so.
Is that somehow... Or is that, like, somehow related to his semblance? Does he have, like, you know, precognition or, like, you know, premonition or something? Like, he knew something was gonna happen?
Well, we know that his semblance is a defensive/offensive sort of power. So I think, yeah, he was just listening. I think, you know, he's from a village... in Anima somewhere. He probably has training that the others wouldn't have had. So, he was probably taught things like, he has advanced senses of some description.
I guess if you think back to Volume 1, even during her Pyrrha's talk about Aura, she, and it's showing Ren at this point, he senses that the King Taijitu is there before it's...
Have you
before
ever felt
it's there.
Being watched without knowing that someone was there?
Mm.
Oh, Pyrrha! Why am I quoting Pyrrha? I'm gonna make myself hurt. I can't watch Pyrrha stuff anymore. I'm like, I can't.
know.
It hurts too bad. Maybe when Volume 4's over. What was I saying? Yeah. So he kind of senses or hears, or kind of senses his presence. And draws his weapon, and so the other three are like, okay, let's get our weapons out. Ren's doing his thing, that was a cool kind of cohesive team moment there. What I like about Team Ranger 2 is that they don't really have a leader. They're all equals in this team.
Mm-hmm.
And they all trust each other. Which is essential if you're going to be a team of huntsmen and huntresses. You've got to trust your teammates, and they know each other really well, and they trust each other, which is expected because they spent a year in the same school and 3 months on the road together now. So they should have established that level of cohesiveness, which they seem to have. So Tyrian, I remember you saying, Cory, I don't know if it was on this podcast, but I remember you saying something about Tyrion's fighting style in the intro. And how it looked. You said he looked creepy. Yeah, creepy fighting style. Yep, definitely. Creepy character.
Yeah, just I don't know. It was, especially thinking back on his fighting style and what they showed of us. I even remember thinking of this, how he kind of fought, kind of almost like a scorpion. And one of our guests said his fighting style, his fighting style have scorpion something in it?
Yeah,
I think it was episode 2 or something.
Fu. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tyrion's a scorpion faunus.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I had a suspicion that he was a faunus, but then when I realized it was scorpion, I was like, it all makes sense now. That totally makes sense. How did I not see that coming? But,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like that it was supposed to be a twist. That he's a scorpion faunus. I didn't like that it was supposed to be a twist, because it's I don't want that to be a thing in the show, where, they're actually a faunus kind of thing. I don't want that to become a thing. I don't want it to.
I mean... How many other times? Just Blake, really. But she was the first faunus that we knew. So, and a lot of us suspected long before it was revealed that she was truly a faunus. When we first started hearing about the faunus in the show, people were like, "She's hiding ears under that bow," and a lot of us suspected it long before it was revealed. A lot of people suspected this outcome, this reveal of Tyrian as well. And I had my suspicions about it. His ponytail is shaped like a scorpion's tail. All the hints were there from the beginning. And his blades are like pincers. So, I just cannot fathom why a faunus would be serving Salem. I suppose, the White Fang served Roman Torchwick, who served Cinder, who served Salem. So, maybe, but the only reason the White Fang was serving Cinder was because Cinder basically came in and was like, y'all are gonna do what I tell you. I'm gonna burn you alive. Okay!
Well, I think, once again, he refers to Salem as a goddess. Yeah. And, he's obviously very, very good at fighting, and, he's kind of very assassin-like. So I could see, Salem, bringing in this, assassin onto her main squad and, wooing him with her ultimate powers and whatever. Like, you know, I could see that happening, and that's why.
Yeah, Tyrion's got that kind of personality. Well, I don't think he much cares about, like, end games and that sort of thing. He's just doing it because it's fun, and he wants to do it. And, but obviously he has some kind of reverence for Salem. He does call her a goddess. So, it's funny that Ruby thinks he's talking about Cinder, and he's like, in her dreams.
In her dreams.
So, I also hope that Ruby takes that comment on board. And realizes, oh crap, Cinder's not actually the big bad guy behind... She wasn't the big bad guy behind all of this. And I also hope she realizes that Cinder's still alive now. Because she may not have been... She wouldn't have known if Cinder had survived that blast or not. We certainly didn't think that she... Well, we thought she survived, but we didn't think that she would, you know... I thought she'd still be frozen on the tower. So I was not expecting her to see her at all, let alone in the first scene in the first episode, in like the 4th shot or something. Like that was a big shock. Actually, I think it was the 6th shot. Anyway, irrelevant, doesn't matter. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed the animation in this fight scene. I thought that was the most well-animated fight scene since the character short for Volume 4. Definitely.
Yeah.
The beginning part where Ren goes head-to-head with Tyrian, I find myself staring at Ren's legs for that section, because the animation on his kicks and the way they're like moving together is so fluid, and like I really like it. The animation was really good in this whole fight. Couldn't pick a flaw in it. Yeah, and
I mean, I could pick one.
Oh, which one?
Well, I mean, you and I talked about this before, how they only showed Ruby's aura. It's my criticism of just the show in general.
I don't...
It's not really...
Yeah, they don't bother showing aura at all unless it's important. And in this scene, because it was Ruby that Tyrian was after, and it was Ruby that we were all scared for, they were showing just her aura every time she got hit. Yeah, I mean, it's a technicality. And also, it's like, it takes time to animate that sort of thing. So if they did it every time somebody got hit, like, you know, the quality of the animation overall would go down. Because they would just waste a lot of time doing stuff like that. So, yeah, it's forgivable. But it was important that they did have those effects on Ruby. I didn't expect to see it with every hit. Because in Volume 3, they didn't show hits to aura. They just showed aura downing in general. And here, every time Ruby was hit, there was a flash of aura, which was interesting. I think that was also to add drama to the moment, because every time she gets hit, you're like, aura, like, there's like a physical sort of reaction, and you can physically see her aura being damaged. Yeah, so I was on the edge of my seat during this entire fight, because I was so tense. I was like, I was terrified that somebody was going to get hurt. I did also know that Crow would swoop in at the last minute and save the day, but I was like, don't let anyone get hurt before that happens. Especially Jon. I was really worried for Jon, because when Tyrian was like, you interest me, and Jon was like, what? Why? I was like, why does Jon interest you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't quite
I mean,
know what that was about.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that too, because I'm like, can he like sense there's something like weird about his aura, or can he like, is there something like spiritually about him that is drawing him, or is it literally just like a hey, you're cute kind of thing? Like, is it that kind of interest?
With Cinder and Pyrrha, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why does I was like, why does Jon interest you? You leave my Jean
Mhm.
alone. Like,
I know.
don't you
He's
lay
been
a
through
finger on
enough.
Jean. I was really creeped out by that, and Jean was too. He was like, I'm not interesting, I promise. Yeah, this whole fight scene was really good. Nora and Jean standing in front of Ruby being like, bitch, try and take her. Like, we will die before we let you take her. Yeah, and Tyrion's fighting style was cool. And, the way he jumped up on Jean's shield and was like, I was like, oh, get out of my face. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, he definitely has taken an interest in Jean, which worries me. Because it's bad enough that he's got an interest in Ruby.
Well, he has an interest in Ruby, but it's also he has orders related to Ruby.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I've got to take her alive, but him, I don't know, I can do whatever I want to him.
Maybe he just
Not
like
that
blondes. The animation on the shot where Tyrion kicks Ruby and her aura gets downed, there's like a ripple effect through her body, which was really cool. Like, considering the shot was in slow-mo, I'm like, the frames. Like, again, it's one of those shots where I'm like, I can see the weeks of work that went into this one shot. It's like, with every frame, I can see the work. Yeah, that was a really good shot. Also, there was a crunch sound when he kicked her, which was like this rib-cracking crunch sound. Awful. And then Crow rushes in to save the day. Oh, just before that, Jean sees... Oh, Tyrion's eyes turn purple when he's about to jab Ruby with his stingy thing. What is that thing called? The scorpion tail? What's it called?
Isn't it a stinger?
I guess it's a stinger. It's probably got a name, some scientific name.
Yeah.
His eyes turn purple, and people have been speculating about that. His name is Tyrian, Tyrian, which is actually a shade of purple. People have been speculating about that, saying that possibly his eyes could change colour depending on the kind of poison he can use from his stinger. So purple could be a non-lethal sort of sleep poison, because he's not going to kill Ruby. He wants to take her, obviously. So he needs to put her to sleep in order to do that. Or perhaps it could just be that his eyes turn purple when he's going to use his stinger. You know, eye colour is a significant thing in this universe, so...
yeah, I mean, I personally just thought that it was like, you know, purple is very heavily associated with poison in things. So, like, you know, I just kind of assumed that his eyes turned purple because he was going to use the poison.
Use the poison, yeah. I don't think scorpions are deadly, are they?
I mean, maybe if
there
you
might be some
get stung enough.
I know that we don't have deadly scorpions here. We do have scorpions, but the ones that we have won't kill you if they sting you. And I've never seen a scorpion. I've been in this country for 23 almost years, and I've never seen a scorpion. So, plenty of deadly snakes and spiders.
I've seen dozens of scorpions.
Yeah. Well, you live in Arizona, so I would expect there would be quite a few scorpions. Now, we have more spiders and snakes here than scorpions. Yeah, so... Yeah, interesting thing with his eye colour there. And then, right as he's about to jab Ruby, there's a shot on Jean where he sort of closes his eyes and furrows his brows and looks like he's about to do something really stupid. Oh, I just realised I skipped over a couple of shots I was going to mention. I'll go back to them.
Yeah.
What do we think he was about to... Like, do you think he was going to jump in front of Ruby and, like, take the hit? Because I really don't think that would have done anything.
I mean, I really think that... Here's the thing, I'm kind of mad at Crow for showing up there, because I was like, oh, Jean was about to do something, and maybe this would have been his semblance moment.
Yeah, he was about to have a moment.
Maybe this would have been his semblance moment, and, like, I don't know, he was gonna do something, and then Crow stepped in.
his semblance as well, we know that his semblance is a defensive semblance. We don't quite know what it can do, though. We've only seen it the one time. They're still leaving that Jean's semblance thing a thing to be discovered. I hope that we see it by the end of the volume, because they've been building it up for 2 years now. And
3.
I'm like, yeah, kind of 3. They've been building it up, and I'm like, can he just discover his semblance already? Like, he's already discovered it and he just hasn't used it. I doubt that, though.
I do doubt that too, because they've kind of made a big moment of him not knowing.
Yeah. So the 2 shots I want to go back and mention are slow-mo shots, and one was when Tyrian jumps behind Jon and is about to hit him in the back. That shot was really well animated. And I liked that Ren bounced his bullets off of Jon's shield as well to hit Tyrian. That was like... And that was, again, another moment of really good coordination. And then the next shot is when Nora gets shot with Ruby's scythe with the electrical bullet, and Tyrion's all like, that's so ironic. And we're all sitting there like, you have no idea. And then the shot I'm talking about is when the slow-mo shot of when she's about to hit Tyrion with her hammer. The way her body twists is so fluid, and the slow motion, and she looks so cool when she does that. I was like, oh, that's such a good shot. I love those slow-mo shots. The slow-mo shots are really cool. They're animating them so well. You have to nail a slow-mo shot, or it can look really bad if you don't. So, yeah, props to the animation team for that fight, because that whole fight was just really cool. And then, so Crow rushes in at the very last minute. Crow's theme starts playing, and what was really cute in this scene is Ruby looks up and realizes it's him, and she just goes, huh. And she just, like, laughs a little bit in relief. I'm like, oh, it's so adorable. And he's just like, hey. Ever the smooth guy.
Well, you and I talked about yesterday how, the entire time he's like, I have to get there. Oh, shit,
yeah,
I have to get there. And then he gets there and he's just like, hey, what's up?
Quick, flap your wings. Oh my god, run. Ruby's gonna die. Like, yeah. And then he's just like, sup. Yeah, that was like, yeah, we were both laughing about that yesterday because we thought it was funny. But, yeah, I was so pissed off when the episode ended there. You guys will see my reaction on the weekend. I was livid. I was like, what? How dare you? I actually tweeted at Miles and Carrie after I watched it, how dare you? I was so pissed off that they ended it right there. But I cannot wait to see him kick Tyrion's ass in Chapter 7. Because, Team Ranger held their own fairly well, but obviously Tyrion is someone who is very experienced and very skilled, and they are totally outmatched against him. But Crow's gonna kick his ass. Because he's a badass uncle with a huge scythe. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that there is going to be some kind of fight between him and Tyrion. I don't want Tyrion to just nope out of there straight away. Like, I don't want Chapter 7 to start with Tyrion noping out. And then there being this whole, Uncle Crow, what are you doing here? Like, I have a bad feeling that that's how Chapter 7 is going to start. I'm like, no. I want it to start with a fight. I want to see Crow kick that scorpion's ass. It's the only time I have a vendetta against a Faunus. Him. I don't like that Faunus.
Adam.
And Adam. Oh, yeah, Adam. Obviously. I always forget he's a Faunus. Because, like, I can never see his horns. They're so, like, hidden in his hair. Yeah. Adam and Tyrion. Don't like those Faunus.
They can just die.
Faunus is great. Velvet. I love Velvet. And I love Blake, as you know. Oh, the animation on Tyrion's scorpion tail was good as well. Really, like, moved very realistically, I thought. And it had a lot of creepy sound effects as well, which was cool. Yeah. So that's the entire episode. We went through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking too much, so I'm just going to let you go over your notes and see if we missed anything.
Well, one thing I noticed was that when, after Nora attempted to deliver that big blow to Tyrian, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Scorpion bitch.
Scorpion bitch.
You can see in his jacket, there's a little, like, part where it ripped, where his tail ripped through his jacket.
Yeah, and then he threw the jacket off, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I also looked at his concept art at the end of the episode, and on his back there is, like, he's got his little belt, but on the back of that belt there's, like, a little circle-y almost thing. And based on where his tail came out of in the episode and everything, I'm guessing that he probably, when he wants to hide his tail, he just coils it in that little spot on the back of his belt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what its purpose is.
I mean, it's a smart thing, because we legitimately didn't know that he was a Faunus. Kind of like the way that Blake used to hide in plain sight with her bow. You know, just put a little bow on my head, suddenly I'm human. Like, yeah, so, and obviously being a Faunus in this day and age attracts too much attention, so, which is something that somebody like Tyrian doesn't want. Yeah, so, let's talk about predictions for the second half of Volume 4.
Okay.
Where do we think everybody's stories are progressing from here?
Well, I mean, that's the thing about Ruby's is that this episode kind of threw off my Ruby prediction, because part of me wants it to go like in the direction of going after the Raiders, but part of me is also kind of like, but now she's also got to be on the run from Tyrian, and so maybe she would just kind of make it her mission to hightail it to Haven, like as fast as possible.
Yeah. Now that she knows that Crow is there, and they're going to have that conversation of like, oh yeah, I've just been following you for the last 3 months, and all this shit's been happening, and I'm also wondering if he will tell her about the people who are behind Shion's destruction, or if he'll keep that to
himself.
Doubt it. I don't think he will, just because Raven's involved in all of that, and I don't think he'd want Ruby and Raven meeting at any stage. Also, this has now thrown off the theory of a Ranger versus Raven confrontation, I think, because I think Crow definitely doesn't want that. So I think he will keep that information to himself. Whether they find out on their own or not is a different story. And also whether he will stick with Team Ranger now that they know he's there or not. He's obviously been doing his own stuff while he's been following them. I don't know if he's gonna, like, stay with them now. I don't think he will. He's not that kind of dude. I think he'll just be like, he'll be there, they'll have a talk, and then he'll kind of nick off and do his own thing, but stay close. Yeah, I think that Team Ranger are still, even after running into Shion Village, really focused on getting to Haven. Like they said in Chapter 1, make it to Haven Academy no matter what. They're still totally zoned in on that mission. And then if they, like defeating the Geist, you know, things that they do along the way. But still their purpose is to reach Haven Academy. So I'm definitely seeing them reaching Haven Academy before the end of the volume. I don't know though if we'll get to see the rest of Team Sun before the end of the volume.
No, I don't think so.
Which upsets me, because if Neptune's going to be absent from this volume, I'm going to be really sad. He was such a big part of volumes 2 and 3. It's like, it doesn't feel right to have Ruby without him now. And we've had quite a bit of Sun. So, and he said that they flew back to Mistral, so whether they're even at Haven Academy is another question. Because Atlas Academy isn't back in session yet. So Haven probably wouldn't be either. It's still like the break. I guess after the fall of Beacon, everything went a little weird. And they probably closed the schools for a short time. Yeah, so there's probably a lot of controversy surrounding the Huntsman and Huntress academies as well after that incident. So Atlas Academy isn't in session, so I doubt Haven would be. Or maybe they are. Maybe they just don't give a shit. Yeah, I do see them getting to Haven, getting at least to the Kingdom of Mistral before the volume's over. Whether Team Sun are going to pop up or not, I don't know. And that makes me really sad. Weiss. So, I think Weiss is still seriously going to be caught up in her domestic problems right now. She's obviously going to get a hiding from her father next time we see her. There's interesting things that still need to happen between her and her brother. But I think the relationship with Ironwood is certainly going to develop, and he will be her saving grace at some stage.
I'm hoping by the end of the...
Go ahead.
I'm hoping by the end of this season, Ironwood has gotten her out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I hope that he's gotten her out of there, because she doesn't want to go to Atlas Academy.
No,
so
I'm
hoping that. Like, that's the thing though, is I feel like there needs to be some event, because like, I can't see Weiss like just heading off to Haven to be like, yeah, whatever, and I can't see, you know, Yang doing that. I could maybe see Blake doing that, but like, there's got to be some event that takes place to draw them all to Haven.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm questioning, because Ironwood has said, you know, you're welcome to come to Atlas Academy. Like, when you want it, there is a place for you. I don't know if she would take him up on that. At the same time, though, Team Funky are from Atlas Academy. So the only hope we would have of ever seeing that team again is if Weiss were to be there. I don't know if she will, though. I don't see any reason for her going to Haven Academy either. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what Weiss is going to do from here. All I know is that by the end of the volume, she has to get out of there. One way or another. And Ironwood's going to help her do it. Blake. So, I feel like Blake's going to be a little bit more predictable than everyone else this volume. So she's with her family in Menagerie now, but she's blown her cover to the White Fang. And the Fox twins are going to tell Adam where she is, and it's all going to be bad from here. There's probably going to be some kind of confrontation with Adam before the end of the volume. Probably soon. I'm still incredibly worried for Blake's family and for Sun. I hope that she has the sense to get out of Menagerie now. And just go. Just leave. Like, I hope she doesn't... She's not like, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine, you know, let's just sit here sipping tea with my parents. You know, hopefully she's not that silly.
I can't help but wonder if, you know, like, she obviously went home to see her parents, but I can't help but wonder, like, you and I both had this theory about her starting her own Faunus rights group. Like, is that part of why she went back to there, to be like, hey, Dad, let's do this? Or is it literally just going to be kind of a thing where it's like, hey, let's go, bye?
I think she's definitely going to have some kind of conversation with her father about the White Fang now that she knows what they've been telling him this whole time. There's more to be done between Blake and her father where the White Fang are concerned, certainly. I think Sun needs to redeem himself to her father as well, to some degree, before they leave, because this is just getting way too uncomfortable. I mean, he's gotta give him a break. Like, Sun's alright. He's just a little bit awkward.
Accidental innuendos and all.
Totally smitten by Blake as well, obviously. Yang. So, Yang, again, is going to be probably the most predictable storyline, in that now she's got something to work on. She's got a new arm, and she's going to have to learn how to fight with it, and her father's going to help her with that. And she's going to go through stages. She's gonna go through kicking ass stages, and she's gonna go through I'm not okay stages. She's got a long way to go. I do see her leaving the house before the end of the volume, but I don't have a clue where she's gonna go.
Yeah, like that's the thing that makes me think that like the season or the volume 4 finale will be some sort of event in Haven. Like I feel like that's where it's going to lead. It's going to be some sort of event in Haven, and Taiyang's going to receive news of it, and Ironwood's going to receive news of it, and you know somebody in Menagerie is going to receive news of it, and they're all gonna, you know, and it's going to be like a point of this is where we need to go next, and that's like Ironwood will take Weiss, and you know either Taiyang and Yang will both go, or just Yang will get out of there and she'll go there, and like that's kind of how I feel, because I think that's how the finale will go, and it will end with all of them like being our next mission is Haven.
Yeah, as Salem did say, you know, Beacon Academy has fallen, Haven will be next. So the enemy has turned their eyes to Haven. So now the allies need to turn their eyes to Haven. Some of them are on their way there, some of them are. Yeah, I definitely feel like the finale is going to be focused on Haven. Or on the Kingdom of Mistral in general. As for Yang and Taiyang, the fact that Oobleck said to Taiyang, have you thought about going after Ruby? And Taiyang looked like he wanted to say, I want to, but I've got to look after Yang. One possibility of this is that by the end of the volume, like you say, something will happen. They'll hear about it, and Taiyang and Yang will set off to find Ruby together. I hope that's what happens. I hope that Taiyang goes with her. Like, what reason has he got to stay where he is if Yang goes? Like, Yang is his reason for being there right now, because he's got to be there for his daughter. And
I doubt Signal's doing much right now.
No. So if the academies aren't in session, he's not teaching, he's not doing huntsman missions because he's got to stay home and care for his daughter. Once she's okay enough to go out there, I really hope that he goes with her. It would be stupid not to. You know, I mean, the girl's already lost an arm. You'd think he would be worried about her going back out there and something even worse happening, or her getting herself killed. I feel like, you know, he keeps saying, I want you to get back out there, I want to help you get back out there, but I think a part of him is scared of that as well. And when she gets back out there, I think he will want to go with her.
Yeah, well, I think that part of the reason why, you know, even with, I think we said this in episode 4, like, you know, I think he knows Crow is with Ruby.
Yeah. Like,
you know, I think he knows that, so he's not as worried about Ruby. No. So I feel like why if you know if he was okay with letting Ruby leave with Crow watching over her, I doubt he would just let Yang go without being like, okay, I'm gonna watch over you.
Yeah. Taiyang has a responsibility to both of his daughters. Right now, Yang is the one that needs him most. But what about when Yang doesn't need him most anymore? And she, you know, if she says, I'm going to go out there and find my sister, he better say, I'm coming with you. Because he has no reason to stay there. When Yang goes, he's got no more reason to stay where he is. So, yeah, I hope that happens. I'd like to see Taiyang in action as well. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Like, he's a huntsman. Obviously, he's kick-ass. I guess we'll see a little bit of that.
He's Yang, but with years of experience.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll see a little bit of it when he trains Yang. But I would like to see him actually kicking some butt. Yeah. So, yeah. Bad guys. Predictions. Salem and her squad. And Cindy.
I think that at some point we're going to see, what was his name? Hazel. Like, we're going to see Hazel meeting up with
Sienna Khan.
And That's the thing. I don't know if we'll see Watts again this volume.
Watts
Because he's in
what's
Haven.
doing?
He's in Haven. He's starting their plans in Haven.
Right, yeah. So he's at Haven. Oh, I've forgotten that he's there. That's true.
Mm-hmm. But that thing is, I don't know, unless they get to Haven really quickly, maybe we'll see Watts then, but I don't know if we'll see Watts again this volume, unless he is somehow tied to this event that I think will happen.
The Spring Maiden has been mentioned as well by Crow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that she's going to necessarily show up this volume, though. Also, because Salem was going to send Tyrian after the Spring Maiden, but then she changed her mind and said, go find the Silver-Eyed Girl. So I think the Spring Maiden's going to wait for now. I'll be surprised to see the Spring Maiden. Yeah, what about Cinder?
I honestly have no idea with Cinder, because, like, she's doing stuff with Salem, but we don't really know what that stuff is and why. So I don't know. I think Cinder's going to be on the sidelines for a while, for a few volumes.
A few volumes? God, I hope not. At least this volume, I think she'll be more or less on the side. I think we're going to get more of like that weird scene between Salem and Cinder with the seer rim, like things like that. And weird Emerald and Mercury cameos where they don't say anything. Mercury hasn't had a single line the whole volume. He's just stood there.
He said, ugh.
Ugh. But that probably wasn't even Yuri, let's be honest. It could have been. Maybe if he has lines later in the volume. Emerald has had, like, one line in the entire volume so far.
What about the girl?
That upsets me. Because Emerald's one of my faves, and I want her to speak, damn it. Yeah. I don't...
The other thing is we still need to talk about the farm boy and what's going to happen with him.
I don't know. Don't ask me shit about the farm boy.
Yeah, here's the thing. I kind of thought he would, when I was thinking about this being, the winter finale, I thought he would somehow be the cliffhanger. Nah. But now that he's not, I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to be the end of volume cliffhanger dude. Like, maybe, I don't know.
I still don't understand the significance of Oscar.
He's tied to Ozpin, like...
Obviously. But, like, I still don't understand what his purpose is in the story.
I'm wondering if he's maybe, like, almost like a reincarnation, or... I saw people even bringing up, like, the Horcrux theory of Ozpin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing too, is there's also a lot of theories with Ozpin and the Wizard, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think Oscar's going to give us a lot of answers related to Ozpin and maybe even like the Maidens and the Wizard or something like that.
Yeah. There was somebody I thought of that we haven't talked about, and now I can't remember who it was.
Raven?
Yeah, Raven. What do we think about Raven going forward? Are we going to see her again this volume, for a start? I think so.
Here's the thing. I think so, but at the same time, I almost don't want to. Because there's just not enough time, and I want them to get to Haven. And if they have to, if they get sidetracked to dealing with bandits and dealing with her bandit tribe, I'm like, ugh.
If they include her again, it has to be for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And had it, and now I've lost it completely. Oh, do we think that Tyrion's gonna die before the end of the volume?
Tyrian? No. I don't think so. Because he's one of the...
Maybe? I just have
Here's
a
the
feeling.
thing. If some... You know, now that you say that,
Now I've got you thinking about it.
I could see Ruby or Jean killing him.
I was thinking Crow. I don't know
well,
why.
I'm thinking like maybe Ruby would accidentally
this early, like to kill him next chapter would be a sin. So I don't think that's gonna happen. That would be a sin.
If Ruby used her Silver-Eyed Warrior's power to kill him, or maybe if Jean, like, you know, maybe his interest in Jean would somehow, I don't know, end up getting him killed, or I don't know. Like, it's just the whole, like, you interest me line after you said that he, you know, maybe he'll die. I'm like, maybe that's foreshadowing. You interest me. You're the guy who's gonna cut my head off.
Maybe. Yeah, I just had this feeling about Tyrian. I don't think he's gonna live out the volume. I really don't.
I don't know, because he is one of her inner circle.
Yeah.
And so...
Also,
I don't know.
You just raised a good point, that Crow is really the only one that can tell Ruby about her silver-eyed abilities, because he knew... well, Tyrian could probably tell her as well, because obviously Summer Rose had the same abilities. She had silver eyes, so... Yeah, Ruby hasn't learned anything more about her power since she accidentally unleashed it. She has no understanding of what it means and how it works. I really want Crow to explain more of that to her. I really want her to start unlocking this potential that she has and start actually using it. I want it to be not just something that's just talked about, you know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I just want to know how it works and why it works, and I want her to start even just using it in little ways in fights, like, because obviously I don't think she'll be able to do what she did again anytime soon. No. Like, because that was something that happened purely out of emotion. And
she witnessed the death of a friend and it tipped her over the edge. Like, with everything else that was already going on around her, getting there just not in time to save one of her friends was a tipping point for her. And like you said, that's not going to happen again anytime soon. But she has unlocked that power now.
But I would like to see her use it in little ways, like, you know, I know they say it freezes Grimm. Maybe she's about to get attacked and she just Silver-Eye Warriors the Grimm that's about to hit her, and then, you know, it doesn't hit her. I don't know, like, I'd like to see her get to use it more, but I don't think that's going to happen this volume. I think that's a next volume type thing.
I almost wanted her to look up at Tyrian at the end of that episode, and he'd just be like... just freeze.
Yeah.
That would have been funny. Stupid, but funny. Yeah, I have this feeling that Tyrion's not going to see the end of the volume. And I also have this feeling that it's going to be because of Crow. I don't know why. Just because Crow is, you know, Ruby's uncle, he's so protective of her, and he knows that Tyrion's, like, wants to take Ruby... I wonder if Crow knows who Tyrian is, or who he's in league with.
That's the thing, is... Honestly, he might be able to make the assumption pretty quickly, especially because I feel like, you know, he would know that Crow would know that Cinder is probably alive.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he would know that, and so especially if they talk about the interactions between them that they had, and like he knows that Salem has pawns, and like Crow knows she's a Silver-Eyed Warrior and all this stuff, and like, you know, he could probably make the logical conclusion of, you know, this guy wanted to take Ruby and was talking about a goddess and, you know, all this stuff, like, he's working for Salem.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a very logical and easy jump.
How much of that confrontation did he hear, personally?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because he probably wasn't that close when it happened. Yeah, lots of interesting developments, lots to explore in the second half of the volume. So to reiterate, Ruby will not be back next week. It will be taking a winter break now. After chapter 6. It will take a winter break. We'll probably get a World of Remnant at some stage before chapter 7 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going by what they did last year, just to let you all know.
I could see them doing a World of Remnant this weekend, the next week, because
maybe. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but maybe.
Yeah, but it's going to be the 17th, and so, it's still far enough away from Christmas where I feel like they could do it, and also then it would make it so that way the time jump between, having an episode on, what was it? It was the 10th that it came out? Yeah, the 10th. Yeah. To the 7th, it would kind of shrink that gap a little bit, because otherwise then it would come out on the 31st, which seems like a bad idea. So that's why I think if they're going to do one in the break, it has to be next week.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. They have done significantly more World of Remnant episodes this volume than they did last volume, but yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, Ruby won't be back until the new year, likely. So, don't be coming on here next weekend and being like, where's the Boopcast? It's not going to be here. We're taking a break when Ruby takes a break. Yeah, they haven't actually posted an official schedule for this volume. Which is kind of annoying because when we're trying to schedule podcasts, we don't know when the episodes are airing, so it's really hard to schedule things. But yeah, we're just going by what they did last year, which this year has been basically the same as that. Apart from that one break week that they took for Thanksgiving, that they didn't take last year, but yeah, because Thanksgiving was during the week last year, wasn't it?
Well, it's always Thursday. Thanksgiving's always Thursday.
Why didn't they take a break week last year? Whatever. Yeah, so I suppose that's it. We've been going for like an hour and 20 minutes, so I guess we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys for watching another episode of the Boopcast. We will not be back next week. As of recording this, I have not uploaded my Chapter 5 reaction yet. It is coming. I have been busy. So, we recorded this late today, as you can probably tell by my lighting, which is why it didn't go up on Sunday, as it usually does, or Monday for me. It will be up later. It will be up. You're watching it now, so it's up. And we will be back with the Boopcast after Chapter 7 airs, whenever that happens, and we'll talk about whatever World of Remnant episodes come out on that week as well, and we will have another guest for that week, provided nothing goes wrong between now and then.
Our reactions for this week's episode, though, will be up next week, so there will be that to look forward to. The reactions
will be up next weekend, but then after that, there won't be any more Ruby Volume 4 related videos until next year. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I will reiterate that if you would like to support this podcast, please go to the link in the description and pop over to patreon.com/SheNoob087 and donate a little bit every month to help support the podcast and keep it going monthly and the channel in general. There are perks associated with that. Yeah, we would appreciate anything that you can offer to help the podcast continue and to grow. I'm going to be investigating over the summer live streaming this podcast. It's not as simple of a thing as you might think just because of the graphics that I use. And I've never live streamed anything, so I don't know how it works. So I have to learn how to live stream before I can actually... I may do practice live streams on YouTube to see if I can actually get it to work on YouTube or not. Otherwise, it will probably stream on Twitch. I do have a Twitch page, which will be in the description if you want to go over and follow that to let me know whether you would like the podcast to be streamed live. We've had a few people requesting it. It's just not as simple as just... bang, we can live stream. I have to learn how to live stream. I don't know how to do it. So, yeah. So, we would like to live stream. It's probably not going to happen this volume. Maybe... I will try my damnedest to get live streaming up and running by the finale podcast. but I'm not making any promises, so don't hold me to that. At any rate, your Chapter 5 reaction's not up yet either, is it?
Nope.
No. So our Chapter 5 reactions will both be up at some point this week, so make sure you subscribe to Cory's channel and to this channel so that you don't miss those, and their Chapter 6 reactions will be up next week. And apart from that, we'll see you next year. Next year. 2017.
It's weird.
It's so weird. It is officially 12 days till Christmas because it is 12:36 a.m. on the 13th of December for me right now. So
yeah, I mean it doesn't feel like my birthday's in 4 days. Like it feels like my birthday's 4 months from now.
Your birthday's on Friday. Yeah, Cory's turning 20 on Friday. What?
Oh
my
what?
gosh.
No, that's no.
Yeah.
I'm like 4.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, happy birthday to Cory and his sisters Sydney and Bailey for Friday. They're triplets in case you weren't aware.
Triplets.
Yeah, crazy family. Your poor parents. Yeah, so that's also the last day I have for my university work finally. So I'm like, so much to do on that day. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching up to this point. We appreciate all of your love and support. Do continue to leave questions on Twitter over the summer. Just if you think of a question that you want to be answered on the next podcast, please tweet it at us or Facebook it at us. I do save them, so they're not going to get lost. Yeah, just if you think of something like, oh, I really want... just tweet it at us, and it will be saved, and we will address it in the next podcast. I will tweet occasionally to remind people as well. Make sure you follow us on social media so that you can do that, and so that, like, we post updates about what we're doing all the time. So, and of course, we post about our videos on our social media as well. And we post RWBY shit on our social media, so if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the world of RWBY, our social media is where to go. At Cory11333, at SheNoob087, Facebook, Twitter. It will all be in the description for mobile users. Thank you for watching, once again. It's really late. I'm starting to get scatterbrained. I need to go to bed.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Recorded this like 12 hours later than we usually do.
This is not wine, by the way, in case you were wondering. It is sparkling apple juice. Because I'm just classy like that. I just had a Christmas dinner with my grandparents, so I'm all, like, fooded up. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now. What are you doing?
You're fancy.
Okay, we're gonna go now. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. See you next year!
Bye. Because I ended the call like, what the shit, demon? There was a can at the very back of my desk and it just fell over. Okay, demon. I respect you.